Okay, Kevin. Here is the video where I go through the process of trying to create that plastic piece, right? I'm actually using booleans, so as you said, welding, but the term I'm using is booleans, so using an object to cut out of another object. The reason why I want to do that, personally, is just because I think getting some of these shapes where you have like a rounded shape moving into another rounded shape and then moving into another rounded shape, and they're like reversing directions, is very visually confusing and hard to kind of create just by like dropping in edge loops and then shifting around. And getting that precise shape is also fairly tricky, right? But as you can see, with the right cleanup of your topology, it can actually end up looking pretty darn clean, right? Okay, so I'm just going to walk through kind of the process. First thing I did was I personally just started with a cylinder that I just kind of turned the top into a grid, or you can just start from a cube and then pull in the corners just to round out this shape, right? Because that object is mostly flat, but let's go forward. It's mostly flat, but it's rounded around these edges, so that's the main thing I was going for with that one. All right, and then another thing I did was this. You can always do this later, but I just added a bevel edge coming inside of it. All right, so if you have a bevel tool, just select your edges. And then you can just do, I don't know what Blender's equivalent is, but let's do 2 and then no chamfer on, right? You can see it adds an edge on that side, an edge on this side. If I didn't even want this edge on the outside, I could just delete that one afterwards, and then I get a radial edge loop on the inside. It's mostly what I was going for, is just trying to get that radial edge loop on the inside. Then I mirrored it, gave it a center line. Okay, then what I did was I grabbed a cylinder, and I made this one, let's just double check. This one I made 20, right? Just because I actually did this a couple times. Like I recreated it a few times, and just after doing it a few times, I was like, oh, okay, this is a good number. So at first I tried lower, but I didn't feel like I had enough topology, so I went higher. So what I did was I went ahead and took this cylinder, I duplicated it, rotated it 90 degrees, and positioned it so it would intersect this other object. I tried to line up the edge loops fairly good, right? So I was getting this edge loop, and this edge loop kind of lining up with each other. This edge loop didn't have anything, but I knew I could easily add another edge loop right here. And same thing with this part right here, is there's no edge loop running this way, but I knew I could run an edge loop this way to connect back onto it. So I didn't even add those, just because I was trying to add the same number of edge loops here and just get it as good as I could. Okay. So what I did was, let's go ahead and do this really quickly. So select this, mesh, boolean, difference, right? So I can see here, here's my boolean, and as you noticed, your boolean cuts do not look good, right? So what you need to do is you need to start cleaning up your topology, right? So I'm getting rid of all these extra, I don't like the radial topology that much on those guys. I could have got rid of them before I even did the boolean. And when I smooth it, you'll see really bad. So what I need to do now is I need to start merging these vertices here, right? So starting to weld them together, right? Because no matter how close I got those edges to line up with each other, they're not actually going to line up. All right, and these ones I'm going to go ahead and do that one as well. All right. Same thing, just going around, cleaning up those edges. I did it a little differently than I'm doing right now, but this is just for sake of speed, right? So this is looking okay. The backside's not looking great, but I'm not going to worry about the backside that much. And if anything, I could just go ahead and delete this stuff. Well, before I do that, yeah, let's go ahead and delete it. I'll delete those guys, and just delete that half. I don't need that anymore. All right, so I can tell that's pretty decent. It's not bad. I have an n-gon, which I need to fix. And then also I have an n-gon down here, right, which I need to fix. But these are quads, so that's nice. So to fix this middle one, it's pretty easy, right? So I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided polygon. So I'm just going to cut it in half. So now those are quads, so that's good. And so for this one over here, what I decided to do was I think what I did was I just cut this right here. So I just put a cut right there, put a cut, oh, okay, this one's not, press enter, put a cut right there, just dropping that edge loop. And then what I did was I combined these vertices together. So I just went, grab this, I'm going to target weld that back, target weld that back. And then I think what I did was I tried to straighten these guys out. So I brought them back out to this guy's scale. Ooh. Yeah, that should be right. Okay. I have to do the same thing with these guys. Oops. Scaled those in. And then I think what I did was I brought this forward. So I brought these guys forward as well to the same level as this one, or close to it. I think that's what I did. Then what I did was, because there's some thickness to it, it doesn't, you know, there's that bridge, this gap across that way. I think what I did is probably, yeah, so when I was originally doing it, what I did was, so here's where this is. I had an edge loop that went in the middle where I was going to actually mirror it across. And so that's where it mirrored across. So in this case, what I might do is I just grab these guys, extrude them backwards to whatever thickness I need that to be. Let's straighten it so it's a straight line. And then what I could do is I could just mesh mirror. And let's do, oop, extrude, that's not right. Mirror. Okay, that does, what is going on? Let's go ahead and I'm going to edit, delete all by type history. Okay, mirror. There we go. Object Z. And I need to set my pivot point for my mirror. Just going to move it along that way. Mirror Z. There we go. Right. So this is looking good. I mean, I need to sharpen some edges, or I need to get some edges, you know, inserted so I can sharpen it, but that's looking pretty good. So, like I was showing up here, where I used that bevel to insert that holding edge that went around on the inside, I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I have two options. I could, you know, select this edge loop that goes all the way around. Let's see, all the way around. Okay. And then what I could do is I could do bevel. And I'm going to set that bevel segments to 2 and turn off my chamfer. So just insert that edge loop in the middle. And then I'm going to delete the ones that are on the outside, because actually those are the ones I don't really want. I just want the ones that are on the inside for now. Oh boy. And naturally this kind of turned into a big old mess. See if I can just delete that and get rid of that one. Okay. I did something here and I'm not sure exactly what I did. Let's take a look. It's probably because of this Ngon right here. So the other option I have, I mean, I could have done that and just kept cleaning it up and figuring out the topology. The other thing I did, which is kind of like the Boolean method of inserting that edge loop. So just grab this. I use extrude. I don't know what the equivalent, I mean, you can extrude in Blender, but what I want to do is I want to extrude and then just offset, Control Shift, offset, which is just kind of pulling in that, inserting that edge loop and pulling it in. Right? And so what's nice about that is it gives me that, now this is more of a holding edge. Notice I'm getting some weird pinching going along right here just because these guys are unevenly spaced and flattened, so I could play with the curvature there. Then what I could do is I could also come in here and let's insert another edge loop right there. So now it's looking fairly smooth. Right? And then one other thing I do is I can drop in, I did this towards the end, you know, you don't want to add too many edge loops just to make it look pretty, right? You just want to figure out the topology first, so let's hold off on that. So that's about where I was right around here. Okay. Then the next part is I had to cut out the hole here and the hole here. So again, I'm looking at my topology and trying to line up these edge loops, or the number of edge loops that I want to work with, right? Again, I knew if I go across this way, because I have this holding edge I created, it's adding this extra little tiny edge loop up here I have to keep in mind, but that wasn't that big of a deal, right? Because all I have to do is, take this, mesh Boolean difference, right? And then I could just connect that across. But the same process, I have to clean up these edges. So all my faces are quads, and I have no vertices that are separated like that, because I have all these n-gons in here, so I had to go in and clean it up. But the nice thing, the whole reason why I'm using Booleans is because it gets me this very specific intersection between these two curved shapes that's very hard to manually insert edge loops and shift them around. You can definitely do it. It's just a different workflow. Right? The same thing here, I just took this bottom, cut into it, and then bridged and closed the bottom. And same process of me adding like a holding edge loop around these guys. So actually, I think on this one I actually beveled it with the chamfer turned off. Right, so just putting those holding edges around the object. And then this one right here, what I did is I just extruded it up, bridged this across. Then what I did was I actually, so you can see here, I was noticing through doing this, I was like, oh, these are 36 polygons, it's kind of a lot. It's more than I probably need. I come here, this one's 28. So what I did was I did a little merging in the flat areas, because the nice thing is on a flat object, you're not really going to notice the topology change caused by like weird merging and poles, and this isn't like a great topology right here, but you're not really going to notice it, right? Because it's in a flat area, right? I was just trying to reduce the number of edges here, because this is 28, and this one right here at the time, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it was 12 all the way around. So what I did was I went ahead and did a smooth operation, and then like deleted like 1 or 2 edges so that I could get this to 28 versus 28, and then I just bridged them across, right? And then I just kind of played with the shape and tapered it, and this needs a little bit more relaxing, something that this doesn't. I did like a quick bulge before or afterwards, but I probably would have wanted to figure out that shape earlier. But I'm just trying to do this as an example. And then the next step would be to cut through that middle hole, right? And I haven't been looking at the reference too much, right? There's probably like maybe this is a little bit wider, so I might have to do something specific in here. Like instead of cutting this, I might just grab this, extrude it, and then grab this bottom, extrude it to make a hole, and then bridge them across. But yeah, this is the main kind of concept of how I go from these basic shapes. Is I'm just trying to look at the topology, keep the topology really simple, or as simple as I can make them, focusing on quads, right? So once you do the Boolean cut, start cleaning it up, right? Adding the holding edge to kind of help right there, and then continuing on as I clean up, right? And so I can get this really complex shape like your wine cork opener is, or wine bottle opener is. And I'm doing it piece by piece, right? When you look at this, if you look at the topology, it might look really complicated and be like, how in the world do you even get to that part? But as you can see through this, it's just a matter of step-by-step procedure and trying to get as clean topology as I can, and then trying to keep the number of edges between places I'm going to connect together later or Boolean together similar enough that I can figure out the topology. Because in the end, you can make just about anything. You can fix just about any topology. Depending on how easy it is to fix depends on how many edges you have and how dense your mesh is and what you're working with. Okay, so hopefully that helps. I think that's about as far as I'm going to go for this demonstration, but I hope that kind of shows you like my thought process and what I would go through to make this object.